Bryan Lenderos, what is up, dude? Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Dude, I was making my way downtown this morning, and it just felt great being able to be, part of your podcast. We've been going back and forth on social, so I was super excited. I don't know if you guys saw on social media. If you guys did, I was making my way downtown.
Making my way downtown.
Oh, snap. What's happening, Snap family? That's right. Making my way downtown. About to hop on the Thinking Bigger podcast with my boy, Kevin Pheley. Thank you for the invitation. On my way.
And oh my God, we are here. What's up, bro?
I love it, dude. Yeah, that captured your energy for sure. Because you guys, Bryan has some of the best energy, and he is just, any room he walks into, he lights up. People love him. He's very well known here in San Diego, specifically in Chula Vista. And he's just an overall good guy. We've been connected for a couple years, and we have somewhat of a similar story. So want to just kind of talk about, the business, the life, how you got into the mortgage business, your sales stuff before.
Yeah.
Let's just dive in. So tell
Cool,
everybody a little bit about who you are.
Perfect. So born and raised here in San Diego. I'm 29 years old. Oh, man, I was like 29.
You old motherfucker.
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, so I grew up here my whole life. The way that I got into business was by, ditching my job at Denny's. I was a server for about 3 years. And that helped me. I mean, obviously just, get some people skills, speaking to people. But what really, really got me going was when I started door knocking back in 2016. I want to say I was about 21 years old. I didn't go to college because of the fact that I was in a business class this one year, and I was listening to a small business teacher speak about business. She then said something about this about business. And then I thought to myself at that moment, I was like, wait a minute here. If you're teaching about business, what's the chances that you're actually doing business?
Right.
And I was like, this makes no sense for me. I'm getting taught theory. So I went and got a job. And later after that, once I got into sales, I realized that was really honestly my schooling. I did door knocking for about 2 years. So I would go 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. door knocking for Vivint, door knocking for solar, ADT, selling security systems.
So real quick, for those who don't know, what is door knocking?
So door knocking is when you have the self-righteous, want to go and knock on a door and try to sell something to a homeowner, right? In this particular instance, we were selling security systems, right? So it's one of those things that you really have to be self-driven and be okay with rejection. And if you aren't, it's going to teach you if you last long enough. Like I said, I did it for 2 years, and that is what I say was probably my schooling into business. It was probably like, getting my feet wet into understanding the psychology of people. There's the way people understand, the way that people, match and mirror your language depending on what you say, or how people just kick you out of their house because they honestly don't want to buy shit from you.
Yeah.
But door knocking in the most simplest sense is going and literally knocking on doors and trying to either find a problem that you could solve for a homeowner or give them something that they're able to, get value from.
Yeah. So when people talk about door-to-door sales, especially in a residential setting, that's what this is. So if you're at home, somebody knocks on the door. Hey, what's up? I'm with the local solar company. We're doing installations in your neighborhood. And you want to tell them to get fucked and get out of here because it's annoying. The people that are successful in that business deal with that all day. And the reason why they're successful is because they do that all the time, and they can get through the negative stuff to the people that actually want to buy the product. And that's where the money is made. That's why they're paid. You get paid proportional to your value. Yeah,
100%. You couldn't have said it any more clear. And for me, it was literally my basis for everything. And that opened up the doors to then, like I was telling you earlier over lunch, I always had the connection to my branch manager now who I work with at Mortgage Heroes. And I went and knocked on his door, and that door knock, completely changed my life. I remember my buddy was cutting their hair there at their house. He's a barber. And just to give you guys a little bit of context, I was in the living room with, his wife, like, damn, should I go talk to him? Finally go talk to him. I pitch him my pitch. I tell him, hey, this and that, we can do this. I see you have decorative. Oh, wait. At that time, we were doing decorative concrete. So in the 2 years of me door knocking, we went from selling security to then wholesaling contract jobs for like home remodeling, landscape, hardscape, anything to do with, home repairs.
Yep.
So at that time, I knocked up for him on that, and I gave him my pitch. I sold him, but then he asked me one question that forever changed my life. He looked at me in the eye and said, Bryan, is this what you want to do for the rest of your life? And I never forget the answer that I gave him. I told him, fuck no. Like straight up, I was like, fuck no. Like, no. He's like, why do you do it with so much passion? Another question that no one ever had asked me at that time, you know, and for me, my response was, well, I guess I'm just a passionate person. And he, okay, cool. So tell me what you're going to do. You know, we talked about it. We, you know, got to an agreement. I was going to come take measurements the following day. But before I left, he asked me, he's like, hey, I'm not sure if you'd be open to this, but I feel you'd be very good at what I do in my industry. And if you're interested, I would like for you to come check it out, shadow me, see if it's something that you see yourself doing. And if it is, I'd love for you to come and, you know, join us, and I'll help you get, you know, started. So this was back in 2017, late 2017. And at that time, I said, fuck it. I always seen that they did good. I always saw that, you know, he was successful in business. They always had the nice cars. And I said, let's do it. And I fully jumped into it. I stopped doing everything that I was doing just to learn mortgages and real estate. So from 2017 to 2018, I was just literally learning how to get my license, studying for my test, and just being at the office learning it.
And tell everybody, so you went from, so you were selling concrete and stuff door to door, and now you're moving into selling mortgages.
Yes.
So people buying houses, doing the funding for them. Sorry, just in case somebody, I don't want to,
of course.
You know, it's easy
thank you.
to overtalk some people. So just want to make sure.
Of course. Thank you for clarifying that. So I went into mortgages, basically the financing for the houses. And one of the things that, you know, now I look back is like, you know, well, why did I make that decision? And I ultimately made that decision because I wanted to continue to grow in my career. You know, I knew that door knocking wasn't going to lead me to where I wanted to be. Can you make a killing off of it? And can you make a living and lots of money? Yes. But sometimes money isn't the only thing that you're looking out after, right? I wanted, you know, a little bit more. I wanted to have a team, to have an office, to have, you know, knowledge and something that made me feel like I'm the person that can help that individual that doesn't have that knowledge.
Yeah.
Which in this case was the mortgage stuff.
Right. And how much money were you making when you were door knocking? Because I know when I door knocked business to business, I was making good money.
Yeah.
You know?
So at that time, I mean, good money for me was like $1,200 a week, right?
Yeah.
So I was making probably $1,200 a week. With that comes out to like a little bit over $5,000 a month.
Yep.
And I was 21 years old, like making like $5,000. I thought I was like just, you know, crushing it, right?
Yeah.
I was going out buying bottles.
Yeah.
Until it dried up.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I love about sales, that it will humble you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and that's where my mindset completely changed. The first time that I had success and then I dropped and I lost it all. Meaning like, you know, the little small, money that I was making.
But to you then, it was a
huge.
lot. Yeah.
It was huge. And I remember at that time, I had just moved into a new apartment, still living with like my mom and my sister, but we had moved into a nicer apartment at that time. You know, we were able to, you know, afford something a little bit nicer. And as you know, as it started drying out, I wasn't the smartest at saving my money because, you know, once you're making a whole bunch of like, you know, money at that time, I was like, shoot, cool, I'll make it back next week. And I get paid every week until it dried off. I lost my car. It got repoed. I couldn't pay for bills anymore. I had to fez up, be like, Mom, I'm maxed out. Can't pay for the bills. I can't even afford a freaking dollar meal at the local like fast food place, right?
Yeah.
So all that made me then reboot who I was as a person, right? I stopped going out and I started going in, meaning that I started realizing who I was, what I was, how I was, and what I was all about. Because I thought about it, I'm like, if I know who I am, I know where I need to go and I know what I need to do.
Right.
For the longest time, I was lost, meaning that I'd go anywhere trying to find a path. And when that path isn't found, you honestly come back to nothing. You're like, so wait, what am I supposed to do? What's my next move? So that's when I realized, I'm like, maybe I just need to start figuring out me, what I like, what moves me, what motivates me, what I don't like, because then all that stuff makes me aware. And when I finally became aware, I was like, I know what I need to do. You find sense of clarity. And at that time, you know, mortgages was right there. And that took 2 years to build up my business, like, you know, but at the end of the day, the money is great, but it's everything that I learned before that, you know, when I didn't have anything, the creativity you have to, like, you know, literally create within yourself is massive, because you have to go out and do stuff with the minimal resources you have and try to like maximize the results that you get.
Right.
So that right there is one of the things that I wish sometimes, like, dude, I wish I could go back to the mindset of when I was barely getting started, because it's like me against the world. I'm going to eat everything. Like, I don't care who goes up against me. Like, I'm going to get this done. It's a do or die type of mindset.
We got nothing to lose, right? So we talked about that. It's funny because we're both in a I would say a comfortable space, you know, like I know for me when I first started, and it's funny, we have almost a very, very, almost an identical background because I worked in restaurants, left restaurants, worked a sales job, learned how to make money, and then went out and branched off on my own. And it's just kind of crazy what you learn from that point. But in the beginning, if you don't have anything to lose, you are a dangerous person because you got nothing to lose. Nothing. You have only up to go, and you can risk it all because you're not going to lose much.
Not much.
Yeah. So I mean, it's really, really incredible what you were able to do, and both of us, man, it's crazy. And if you're listening to this and you're working some kind of job, right? Like maybe you're saying, oh, I'm in that role before, I'm still working at Denny's or whatever, right? Whatever that is for you. I would encourage you to find your value proposition to the market. And what does that mean, right? Your value proposition to the market is, in our case, sales. So if you can sell a product or service, that's a big value proposition and you get a good chunk of that. So the bigger the product you sell, the more you make. So if you're looking to make more money and looking to just, maybe you're in your early 20s, maybe you're wherever you are in life, you want to level up, you want to go increase your income, which I think everybody does, go into sales because you'll notice most successful entrepreneurs have a strong B2B or door-to-door, like residential sales background.
Right.
So,
and along with sales, one of the things that I did realize throughout these years is the power of relationships. And that's one of the things that I value so much in my business, because the relationships is what honestly makes your business. And when you could do all this marketing and video stuff, which I am a big advocate on, but there's nothing like the impact you make on somebody that will then pass it on to somebody else because of how you made them feel. So if you're able to just take care of people, people will take care of you. And ultimately, one of the things I realized is that you also can't help everybody.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the things that I do when I meet with people, and it's a subject that we got into, was the frog method, right? And family, recreation, occupation, and goals. When I first meet with anybody, that's the thesis of my conversation. I'm going to see what their family's about. You know, do they live with the family? Do they have kids, wife, whatever it may be? Go down the line. And if they align with what, I'm about, then I say, hey, maybe this is someone that's worth building with, someone I could do life with, because that's ultimately the type of people that I want to do business with, is people that I could also, outside of business, create a strong friendship, because then it goes both ways. But on the other hand, if it doesn't work out, then it lets me know that, hey, possibly a great person, nothing against them, we just do not align. And I'm very big on alignment and frequency. So if we align and we connect, it's like literally like two bolts of energy just coming together to become one bigger force of energy. And that's how I look at it, right? So if I don't get that feeling from the bat, then I'm like, it's probably not going to be the best. I'm not saying it won't work out, but I'm all about flow. If it flows, let it go.
Dude, and energy flows like water. So one thing that, again, if you're listening to this and you're not where you want to be in life, or you are and you want to improve your life, change your surroundings. Because like earlier today, I was in an okay mood. The second Bryan and I connected, it was like you said, like two lightning bolts hitting, and like we're vibing off each other. Now, if we were opposite frequencies, if I was a negative person, bro, I'd pull you down with me.
Yeah, 100%.
Like we would mix, and it would not be good. Like we were talking about, sometimes you meet somebody, we were talking about this earlier, you meet somebody and you like them. When you look on paper, you should like them, but something there, you just don't fuck with them.
Yes.
It doesn't mean they're a bad person.
Nope.
It just, you need to be very, very cautious with your energy and who you give it to, And in terms of the relationships, like you talked about, your life and the success in your life is going to be proportional to your relationships. And Jeff Fenster, David Meltzer, a couple of those guys talk about the relationship bank account. And we talked about this at lunch. We were joking that we had a whole podcast while we were at lunch.
I know, right? I'm like, dude, we're just over here pretending.
We had a great conversation. But when you're in a relationship with somebody, and I don't mean relationship, I mean relationship, friendship, business partnership, whatever.
Yeah.
When you start a relationship with somebody, you have an empty ledger, meaning you have a bank account with them that is zero, right? Now, when you do something for them, you give a favor, you help them out, you ask them how their day's going, you're adding to that bank account.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people want to just take deposits.
Yeah.
They want to ask for favors. They want to pull everything they can. And it's not like they're maliciously doing that. They just don't quite get it. You need to be able to serve people and constantly, and we agreed on this earlier, constantly be making deposits, right? Because like you, right? Sometimes you'll just hit me up and be like, hey, bro, love the podcast, love what you're doing. What's up? Or you'll call somebody, hey, I just want an update on how you're doing. That's it. No motive, just saying what's up. And every time you do that or they do that for you, the quality of that relationship goes up. And I know it sounds transactional, but it's how it works. You ever have a friend who's always asking you for shit, borrowing money, not paying it back? Like, it's a drain. Right?
Bro.
Yeah.
At least give some back, you know, not just take.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing is like relationships are two-way streets. And I am really, really trying to motivate other people to realize that you got to go out and try to help people. You have to serve people. And when you do, it comes back tenfold.
So to your point on that, when you're speaking to people, one of the things that I stopped doing is listen to reply. I'd rather listen to understand, because in understanding and actually critically listening to who you're speaking to, they're going to tell you what they're missing. They're going to tell you what they need. Why? By default, in the way that they say it, if you're paying close attention, the pieces to that puzzle will be there, and the clues will be left by their words, their energy, and the way that they deliver, you know, what they say. So if you're able to pick up on that and go out of your way to bring the solution to them without them even asking you, they're gonna want to keep you in your corner and them in your corner for the longest time, because they're gonna be like, yo, that guy Kevin, I don't know why, but whenever he's around me, he just knows how to like help me. I just like, I feel more confident around him. And all that is because you're paying attention to what that person needs, is missing, or is going after. And if you're able to bridge that gap and help them without it, you know, affecting you, I think that's what value is called.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. That is fire, dude. That's so I want to just real quick show you guys something, right? Let's just say that Brian and I met and I was like, hey, Brian, what's up? Good to meet you.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good, dude. Hey, so anyways, I got this car outside and this is what I do for work and blah, blah. If I sit here and talk about myself the whole time, Brian's just going to be like, all right, whatever. But if I start the conversation with being like, yo, what's up, man? So you have a kid?
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. How old's your kid?
1.5.
Oh my God. Boy or girl?
It's a boy.
Boy. Oh, how's that feel?
Oh man, it feels great. I mean, like a little sense of joy.
Like he's smiling genuinely right now because
how'd you know? You've been critically listening.
But that's how you build relationships with people.
Yes.
And the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, which we have a couple copies here.
Don't even get me started. That was my Bible.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I read day in and day out, dissected, and literally became a student to that book. Like everything that book says was everything that I had doubts in my head of me doing. Like, is this really how I should do this?
Yeah.
And me, naturally, I was always already doing that. So when I read that book, it empowered me in a way that gave me so much confidence to let myself know that the way that I was building relationships was actually the way that people do it at a professional or strategic level.
Yeah.
So I recommend that book to anyone, not even if you're going into business. If you're going into life, you need to listen to that book, because it ultimately helps you understand how people work in a sense of their environment, and how if you're talking to them in your point of view, they might not get that. So meet them halfway or meet them in their world, and then they'll forever understand you and want to be with you because you know how to communicate in their terms.
And communication is the number one effective tool, no matter what you do in your life. If you can't clearly communicate how you feel, your life is going to be worse off, right? So let's say that, I mean, I can't think of, I can't come up with I'm literally at a loss for words. There are so many relationships that I've watched fall apart because two people can't communicate. They both want the same thing. They're both aligned. They're both mutually in the same boat. They want the same thing. They both want to get in this boat and they want to go to this destination, but they don't know how to fucking say it. And it's so, watching it is like,
so it makes you frustrated. So imagine when they can get, when the two parties can't agree.
And they think that they're on opposite sides.
Oh, no. So, I mean, you know, hopefully my girl doesn't listen to this, but that's a barrier that we had to, you know, break through.
Yep.
The fact that we're not trying to go against each other. We're just trying to communicate our point.
Yep.
And that's, I feel, something that happens a lot in business and in relationships, where it's like, hey, we both mean the same thing, but just because we're coming at it from a different angle, it feels like I'm going against what you're saying, when in reality, we're going against what's in the middle,
right?
Which is what we're trying to prove or solve.
Right. And I mean, it comes down to like, if you get pulled over by a police officer, right? you may have this idea of what police officers are, and maybe this guy sees some punk kid driving a Honda and it's like, oh, fuck this kid. They pull up. They're already not clearly communicating. Right. And in the, I'll talk about that after. But when they communicate, if the teenager kid in the car starts popping off to the cop and is like, oh, I didn't do, whatever. Like, really, what the cop wants to hear is, hey, I fucked up, my bad. And what he wants to hear from the cop is, hey, I get that you fucked up and it's probably your bad, but, no big deal. Yeah. It happens, right? That's what they both want. They want to go off on their way. The cop doesn't necessarily want to write a ticket, but then when the communication gap gets all fucked up, then it stops. And in the movie, I believe it's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, there's a scene where somebody pulls out what's called an empathy gun. And there's these guys chasing after these people. I might be butchering this, but the concept is what I'm trying to get across. There's this guy chasing these people through like a spaceship or something, and they're trying to attack them. And they pick up this empathy gun, and this guy's running at her trying to kill her, and she goes, boom. And all of a sudden, he can feel her emotions. And he's like, oh, I can't attack you. Now I know how you feel. I wish that was a real thing.
Bro, we need an empathy gun so bad right now in society.
Yeah, seriously, dude. I mean, it's crazy, right?
No, that's a really good one.
But lack of communication. Yeah. If you can communicate how you really feel and make somebody else feel it as if it's their own emotion, then, that's how communication happens.
So earlier we were also talking about, taking risk and, why I went all into mortgages. And I don't think it's really that I went in all into mortgages. I just feel like I went in all into the opportunity of finding out what my true potential is. And the true risk of, making that decision is everything that, I'm now working towards, working on, accomplish. That was my risk. If I didn't take that jump, then I'm risking everything that I'm working towards right now. And everything that we've been building was for what?
Right.
So for me, the risk is not like, oh shoot, if I risk this, like, I'm not going to have money, or if I risk this, I'm not going to have time with friends. My risk is all the stuff that's on the other side of the decision.
Yeah.
So if I don't take that risk, then all the other rewards and all the better life is what I'm missing out on.
Dude, risk is everything.
Risk is everything.
And risk is a good thing, right? Because especially when you're young, I can't stress this enough. You need to take risks when you're young, because you took risks when you were 21-ish, 22, maybe even younger. Well, you have a kid.
One.
And
another one on the way.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Go
ahead. Let's say. Got another baby on the way. Shouts out. My girl's 4 months pregnant, and it's the best thing ever.
But could you take as many risks now with the kids?
No. So that's a really good question. And I don't have a prepared answer, but this is what I right off the bat would say. I can't take the risks that I could take back then, right?
Yep.
But I can't take calculated risks.
Yeah.
So these calculated risks actually come at a better way of, doing them, because of the fact that I have clarity, I have purpose, and I have intent.
Yeah.
And those three things combined is what I'm doing for my son. It's not for me. It's because I need my son to see me succeed so that he understands that, hey, that's how you do it. Because what I notice is that when I'm when I'm having a beer, or when I'm having a drink, or when I'm talking to my lady, when I'm talking to my friends, my kid's watching. And then I also see him do that in his own little way, right?
Yeah.
So then I'm like, let me be a life psychologist here. I know that by default, monkey see, monkey do. So if he sees me do well, I mean, I'm at my computer all the time at home, right?
Yeah.
And I'm working. He's trying to literally do the exact same thing. Or if I'm on the phone, he's trying to be on the phone, try to talk, I talk with my hands. He's all like, even though his words don't come out.
Yeah.
But that to me is the biggest motivation, because it's like, bro, I'm hands-on, firsthand. You're watching everything happen. And if I can give you the road so that you can, one day, hopefully, take it, or at least give you a clear path, then that's my purpose. And, accomplishing everything that I'm set out to do is really just, by default, something that I'm doing so that my son can actually know what direction to take. Because if you don't have that direction, then you end up with no path. And when you end up with no path, you find anything that just, is easy or will be like, that makes sense. But then you'll be lost your whole life.
Right.
So having a sense of clarity is the biggest thing that you can do, even though it's the hardest thing to do.
Well, you found your why, which most people don't. And I still struggle with my why.
Yeah.
And I think that when I have kids, my why will all of a sudden be so clear, which it seems I watched you go through it, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're young, you want to make money. Your why is like you want to support your family, you want to drive a cool car, you want to have money because like it's the cool thing, right?
Yes.
But then you realize you get to a point, especially when you're making a couple $100,000 a year or more, you realize that money is great. It's a powerful tool, but it's your time. And like, there's more things that are important. Now, money will make everything better. People say more money, more problems. Eat shit. That is not true. Like maybe to a point, but I have way less problems now than I did when I couldn't pay my rent.
100%.
Eat like
it's different type of problems, but you have the means and the tools and resources to take care of those problems. Whereas before you're just fucking like trying to survive.
Yeah. And before I had like a really bad identity with money, relationship with money. I thought money was bad.
Yes.
Most people do think money's evil, that you have to cheat somebody to get it. And it could not be further from the truth. 100%. And one thing is, I can tell you that if you're struggling to pay your bills, which statistics show that most people in the United States, over 50% of the United States live paycheck to paycheck, right? Which means statistically their cortisol and adrenaline and stress hormones are through the roof, which means not only you're putting yourself at much higher risk for disease, you're not happy, you're not living your life with purpose, your depression is going to go through the roof, but not to mention that if you can find a way to pull yourself out of that survival mode, because your brain is no longer worried about a saber-toothed tiger eating you, right? Because we've grown out of that. But your brain is now worried about shelter, food, bills, things like that. So you have the same stress hormones going through you if you're stressed on money that somebody back in the prehistoric days or whatever, would when they're getting chased by a tiger. Now, if you can just get to the point where your bills are all paid and you've got a good cushion in the bank account, your life will be so unrecognizable and you will be able to breathe like you never have before. And I can tell you that him and I have both lived a life of stress, not being able to pay your bills, and the weight that carries, and when that gets lifted is the best feeling in the world.
Bro, I just got the goosebumps. No, but you couldn't have literally like broken it down any better way, because at one point, all you're doing is trying to survive. And I heard a video, I don't know where I heard it, but our brains haven't changed since literally cavemen, right? So we're still like survival mode, right? But our environments have changed, like you mentioned. So if your environments change, why can't you change your mindset? And if you change your mindset, then you start seeing that what you're seeing is actually not what you used to think. Right. So once you go through that, and I really feel that unfortunately you have to go through a strenuous like path or something that really, really, really like just shakes your life up, where you're just kind of like, oh shit, like let me put my life into perspective. Is this something that, is going to keep moving me forward or moving me back? And you need that negative push to turn into a positive outcome. So sometimes I feel like for me, when my dad passed away and Christian passed away, my best friend, in the matter of less than 6 months, bro, my life spiraled into a complete mess because I wasn't clear. I didn't know nothing yet. I was 19 years old as well, so that didn't help with my emotions and everything all over the place. Right. So what happened? I went down a path of like horrible decisions, drinking, doing things I shouldn't be doing, and that ultimately led to me falling and being lost and depressed until I hit such a low point that you're like, all right. No one's going to come save me. My mom isn't going to come save you. Your dad. Nobody in your circle is going to come and pick you up and say, let's get it together, Brian. Let's go and actually start doing shit. So you have to go through that. You have to eat that shit. You have to be that depressed. You have to fall down to the floor and be like, well, what the fuck am I about? What should I do? What's my next move? How should I even move? And only then, once you're actually clear and truthful with yourself, can you start going back up. Because what I notice is that you can lie to everybody. You can lie to everybody all day, but the moment you walk and look at yourself in the mirror at home, you know every single lie that you've been telling everybody, and you cannot lie to yourself. Ooh. As much as you want to lie to yourself, you're going to look at yourself and say, that's not true, because you know it isn't.
Yeah. Like holy shit, bro. That is deep, dude.
Straight up.
That is deep. And you know what, man? Like, you went through a breakdown. I went through a breakdown before I got sober. And I'll tell you one thing. Breakdowns happen right before breakthroughs. So if you're going through something, if you're dealing with something where that pain is hitting, when you hit that rock bottom, it's about to turn around, but you have to have that perspective.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, just honestly, One of the biggest advices I could give you is really audit your circle and the people that you're around. You know, you're gonna realize that you have friends that are positive, friends that are negative, friends that don't know what the heck to do with their lives, and friends that probably just don't give a fuck. But me, I switched up my environment, started hanging out with William, with Andy. They're much older than me.
Yeah.
And then I started tapping into their sphere of influences, which are older than them or more successful than them. And then you start to realize that these people talk about ideas and not other people.
Yeah.
So once I started hanging out with other people, by default, my wavelength of thinking, I was like, well, how can I create this business? Or, hey, how can I invest in this? Instead of, oh, where are we going out today? Where are the girls at? You know, or who's getting the drinks tonight? You know, like, on the contrary, now the conversation with my friends is a lot different.
Right.
And
well, think about what we talk about.
yeah, exactly.
And one thing, sorry, but just before I forget it.
Yeah, please.
You know how you said like your baby like watches you and does all the things? That doesn't go away. You are mimicking the people around you. You just don't know it.
100%.
So when you stop hanging around with people, and our stories are so similar. Yeah. You stop hanging around with people that are drinking, doing drugs, gangbanging, whatever, right? And now you're hanging out with people who are doing positive things. All of a sudden, you're like, oh shit, you're on this another level. You see this different perspective, and now you're acting like them. But dude, keep going.
So what happened was, and you know, shout out to William, my branch manager, you know, the one that brought me in. He told me, he's like, you're gonna get to a point where you're gonna be hanging out with different people, exposed to different information, exposed to different experiences, and when you come back and speak to the people that used to know who you were, you're not gonna align, not connect. You're just not gonna align. Right. And you're gonna get frustrated because you're trying to speak something. They're looking at you like you're weird, and you're looking like, what the hell's wrong with you?
How do you not see this?
You know what I mean? And then by default, that happened to me, where I became so embedded in my work, in my life, that it did become my life. And I ultimately only connected with people that were the same. You know, why do we get along so well? Because our life is our business, and our business is our life.
Right.
So when I started talking to certain friends, they're like, wow, Brian, there you go, thinking again that you're so better than everybody. I'm like, no. I know what I want to do. I found out how to do it. And we're over here like wasting time, bro. Like, me going to the bar isn't going to help me get closer to my goals.
Right.
Me drinking all day isn't going to get me closer to my goals. So it's like, why am I... And this is the big one that honestly I'm going to give a huge advice to all young males. Don't get caught up in trying to chase girls, because this is what happens. As you get older, girls are looking for security, status, and someone that can protect them. And if you're a fuckboy that doesn't have any of those, good luck as you get older, bro. Your looks and your swag is only going to take you so far. Yeah. So start investing in yourself, your skills, who you are, and then that itself is going to attract you, the ladies that you're going to want.
Yeah.
Believe me.
And that's biology, right? That's, again, haven't changed since we were cavemen.
100%. So if we're able to tap into that and understand that, I mean, how much ahead are you going to be from people that are still dormant or trying to figure it out, or don't even have a recollection that this ability of thinking is out there?
Right. And how you spend your time is complete. I mean, people talk about that, but like, dude, when you think about how we spend our time, right? Like, I'm sure we have our own hobbies. We have time that we waste, which is fine, right? You got to do that. Like, I play video games occasionally, right? But I'm not playing it 8 hours a day.
No.
I'm not at home right now playing video games. I'm putting out content. I've had an insanely productive work day that started at 6:50, you know, and it's going to go till 6, 7, you know? So like, think about the so compound interest, right? When you invest a little bit of money over a long period of time, as that grows, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And the same with your decisions and the way that you vote with your time, right? Yeah. So every minute that you're doing something, you're voting for the outcome. So if you're spending your time, a majority of your time, maybe you only spend 3 hours a day playing video games, but that adds up and you're not really enjoying it. It's an escape, right? Mm-hmm. Anything more than an hour a day of video games is an absolute escape, and you're just not wanting to face reality, right? But if you vote with your time towards the person that you want to be, your life will transform. Yeah, I mean, unreal. Like, how do you spend your days?
So my days start with getting my son ready in the morning, so I'm up.
Oh, you're already wasting time. No, I'm just playing. I love to tell people, like, parents.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I totally get what you mean. Like, I've got dogs, so I get it, and I just watch them melt because I know it's not true, and I know it fucking makes people so mad.
I used to be like that, not gonna lie, and I just kind of like watch them melt, but now it's like...
Yeah.
No, but my day, you know, now that I have a son, you know, it's a lot of hands-on in the morning. So in the mornings, I definitely, my lady works she works at a hospital. So she's out by probably like 6 a.m., even earlier sometimes. So I have to wake up, probably I'll be up by like 5, 6 a.m. and I'm just there. I get ready. Baby's still asleep, so I get to do stuff in the morning and get the house prepped up. But I ideally get to the office around 9:30. Then from there, get on my email, see if anything needs to be attended to right away. And if not, then I go into making calls, follow up with past clients, agents. Then depending on what day, Fridays all day I record content. Monday through Thursday I'm just doing mortgage stuff, following up with clients, meeting with them, taking up applications, going out to meetings and stuff like that. So my day is really not just set in stone. It really just depends on my appointments, but I do have activities that I have to do every day, which is make my calls, send out my messages, social media farm, which is what I do for business. And earlier you said that we have a bank account with the people that is in our network. I like to look at myself as a farmer, and on social media I'm planting seeds, and over time I'm watering.
You guys have heard that before on the podcast,
right? So when I don't know if you plant stuff or if you ever seen anybody plant stuff, when they plant something, do they harvest it right away?
No, you can't.
You can't, right? You have to water it, watch it grow. Sometimes it doesn't grow. Sometimes you gotta, unfortunately, let it go.
Yeah,
but
if it doesn't germinate and it doesn't come out of the seed.
It's the exact same thing on social media with people. And people think that you're going to start social media, start doing content, and you're going to get flooded with leads. No, you got to put the work into it. So building relationships on social has been my biggest, activity. I'm going on there planting seeds through the stories. If they post a story, that means A, they want you to interact. B, they're looking for a response. And C, they posted it to the public. So of course you can reply back.
Right.
So I utilize that to start conversations with people. And then from there start watering them over time as I see them post more stuff that I genuinely like and I could actually comment on. Or if I see an opportunity to connect them with somebody that could bring them value or solve their problem, I'm always looking out for that. So that's how I'm looking at social media. My girl gets mad because it seems like I'm on the phone all the time, but I'm really honestly looking for opportunities where I could bring value, create a new relationship, and then, harvest that into business, harvest that into a relationship in real life. Yeah. But that's how I utilize social media. And most of my day is, communicating with people, trying to have as much conversations about my business. So for me, it's like literally I'm on the phone all day. And if I'm not on the phone, I'm trying to speak to people on social media. And if not, I'm doing mortgage stuff, speaking to clients about their rates, speaking about their numbers, breaking down, what's going to happen next. And just, being there for my partners in the sense that, I help them a lot with marketing because that's one of my biggest strengths and something that I truly found a passion for.
Amazing, dude. Yeah. And you're voting for your future with your time. 100%. And I mean, that's it, bro. Like it really comes down to what are you doing every single day? And I actually have this Post-it note that I had when I first started the business. Ooh. It was a little Post-it note that had an arrow pointing left. It was one line with two arrows. Yeah, you definitely have. Yeah. And it goes in both directions and it says, which way did your business move today? Because it never stays in one spot, right? And then I had another one for my personal. Which way did you move today, right? Some days the business moves back, but you move forward. That's okay. But you have to be moving forward because if you're, look, the world, this table here, if these particles weren't designed the way they were, you could pass your finger right through this. This table, although it seems hard, is moving. All of these little atoms and molecules inside this table are moving. Nothing stops. So nothing ever, you're either growing or you're dying. So you choose and you vote with your decisions, your time, and your surroundings.
100%.
So if you were to talk to yourself back at 20 years old, right? When you were a younger kid, like what would you say to you working at Denny's, right? What would you... Because first off, I think that we both share that if we were to talk to ourselves at that age, we would not believe it was possible. And if we were to think bigger, which this podcast is called Thinking Bigger, where we are now we'd probably be ahead, right? So one thing, I want to challenge people to think bigger, especially if you're younger, but it really doesn't matter. Anywhere you are, think bigger. But what would you say to yourself when you were working at Denny's as like a young, early 20s?
So I always knew that I wanted to accomplish bigger things, right? But I hesitated because I didn't know how to get started. My biggest advice is find a group or a community that already is doing what you're doing, or if you can find a mentor that's already doing what you're doing, just say, hey, honestly, I really want to learn to do what you're doing. I have no experience, but I have a burning desire to, learn. I'm very flexible. I'm a student. I'm not going to, push back. I just want to learn.
Yep.
The mentor will look at you like, hey, at one point, someone did this for me. And if you have the right intentions and you have the true meaning of wanting to learn, the mentor will take you on and they will teach you and pour into you if you're willing to, be open about it.
Right.
So my biggest advice that I would tell myself is quit waiting for something to happen and go make it happen by going out and reaching out to somebody that is doing what you're doing. And nowadays, with all these tools that we have, there's no reason why you can't reach out to 20 different types of mentors.
Yep.
Or people that you want to learn from and just genuinely ask them, hey, how do I get started? And I'm telling you, they will spill the beans. And if they tell you, hey, buy a course, run.
Yeah, right.
No, but honestly, true mentors will give information out for free because of the fact that the hardest thing is actually going back and implementing it in your real life. So
Yep.
you can have all this knowledge, you can have all this understanding, but my biggest advice is find someone that could get you to where you want to be faster than by you doing it alone.
Right.
That's it. Streamlined.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's a hack to life.
Yeah.
Right. Because if I want to go get jacked,
Yeah.
right, I'm not going to go to some dude who eats McDonald's all day and
No.
doesn't work out. He can't teach me that. Right. He might say he can.
Yes.
But if you see somebody that has what you want and you genuinely, you go to them and especially when you're young, people will look at you like they will see themselves in you, especially if they're like a self-made person, they will see themselves in you. And they will they will invest. You cannot pay them, no matter how rich they are, you cannot pay them to do what they're going to do because the value for them, their why and why they're doing it is because they see themselves in you. I had a mentor that saw themselves in me for sure. I had multiple mentors and they're constantly trying to show you because we all want to go back to our old selves and be like, hey, here's what 100%. I would do. And you can't. But if you can get a mentor that can show you how to do it, and it's like skipping the line. It's amazing.
Tom Brady has a coach. Yeah. And I bet you he has a personal coach for every single different type of workout or different skill that he needs to learn, right?
Yep.
So if Tom Brady, that's probably the biggest world champion or, sports player to play the game, and that's arguably, if he has a coach, what makes you think that we can't, thrive on having coaches? And I have multiple mentors for different things. And that's honestly been one of the keys that helps me continuously grow my business and my mindset and my life. Yeah.
And one thing that you said that I want to cement into this forever is nobody is coming to save you.
No,
you said
nobody.
That. You had to stop and take a hard look and go, well, when you're a kid, people want to help you, but that goes away as you get older.
Oh, 100%.
Nobody's coming.
And nobody's worried about your problems.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that you're probably thinking, well, what are they going to think about? Let me tell you one thing. They're not thinking anything of you. That's why it's up to you to go out and get yourself what you want to do.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. This has been such a podcast.
Bro, we could go on all day.
Yeah. We're going to have to do another one.
For sure.
Bryan, where can people follow you? Because you guys have to go follow Bryan.
Yeah. So on YouTube, I'm under the Bryan Talks Money Show. On Instagram, I'm Bryan Landeros Lends You Money. And if you want to reach out to me, my number is 619-601-7797. Shoot me a text message, send me a DM. I'm always available. And if I'm not, I'll reach out to you as soon as I can. But honestly, for me, it's all about just reaching more people, talking to more people, and then letting them know that honestly, we have the keys to every door.
Yeah, literally. If you're looking to buy a house or get a mortgage, talk to Bryan because he's the man.
And even if you're not, honestly, come get some financial literacy.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
that's the basis. That's what I preach right now. That's my biggest thesis: is learn about money, learn how money works, and learn how your finances can actually help you.
Yep. And I'm gonna have Carlos put all your social medias and everything in the show notes, or in the whatever.
Yeah.
Look below, you'll find his stuff.
Thank you guys, Kevin.
Dude,
appreciate you, bro, so much.
on.
Hell yeah.
Dude, thanks.
Appreciate you.